I just have to say, this is the kind of thing that you can't quite go on defense with, right? I mean, I'm sorry, Joe, you know what? You're old. You're old. And now, as you get angry about what people are saying, which is just plain old simple reality, you're kind of turning yourself into a caricature of an angry old man. Oh my gosh, this is what we're seeing. It's on full display. And now they're trying to run damage control, and everybody at the White House is like, oh my gosh, now what do we do? What do you do when the view turns on you? I ask, plain and simple. Hello, welcome back to the program. I am Trish Regan. We are live. Thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, you hit the bell so you know when we're here live every day, and you get our clips, which we keep sending out for you. We are brought to you, as always, by our good friends over at LegacyPMInvestments.com. That's Legacy Precious Metals, LegacyPMInvestments.com. 1-866-589-0560. I mean, I've just seen all this come in here, and I'm like, wow, you know, Joe Biden, we knew you were a little edgy sometimes. We knew that you didn't have everything going on upstairs. We knew that it was kind of getting hard for you to walk, etc. But let's just say this is all you, buddy. And it's on you now. You are living up to every stereotype around. Let's take it away. Here he is yelling at that young whippersnap of a reporter, Peter Ducey over at Fox.
Questions.
President Biden, something the special counsel said in his report is that one of the reasons you were not charged is because, in his description, you are a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory.
I'm well-meaning, and I'm an elderly man, and I know what the hell I'm doing. I've been president. I put this country back on its feet. I don't need his recommendation. It's
How
totally
bad is your memory, and can you continue as president?
My memory is so bad, I let you speak. That's
your memory has gotten worse, Mr. President?
My memory is not good. My memory is fine. My memory, take a look at what I've done since I become president. None of you thought I could pass any of the things I got passed. How'd that happen? You know, I guess I just forgot what was going on.
Mr. President.
Yeah, not so sure the memory's all that good. I mean, you know, he tends to forget a whole lot of things. We'll get to that in just a second. But before we do, just another example here. He was getting really testy. I mean, he came out and declared this emergency press conference. Maybe he was trying to take some of Tucker's thunder away from the Putin interview. Well, it was one way to do it, right? Take a look again. Here he is and just really showcasing some of that anger. Totally on defense watch.
Questions.
President Biden, something the special counsel said in his report is that one of the reasons you were not charged is because, in his description, you are a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory.
I'm well-meaning, and I'm an elderly man, and I know what the hell I'm doing. I've been president. I put this country back on its feet. I don't need his recommendation. It's
How
totally
bad is your memory, and can you continue as president?
My memory is so bad, I let you speak.
Look, I mean, all in, I would just say they got problems here. They got problems because it's something he can't really refute without doubling down on the anger, which, given his age, then makes him look increasingly weak. According to the report, you know, he willfully retained in those disclosed classified materials, including classified documents related to national security and, quote, sensitive intelligence sources and methods, in his home and in his garage and in his office for decades, and he knew all about it. So he did this. He willfully took those documents and he kept them in his home, in his garage, and his office. In fact, in 2017, Joe Biden gave classified documents to a ghostwriter. Classified documents. So he's walking around with these things and gives them to the ghostwriter who's penning his memoir. And as someone who had actually never received a security clearance to read these things in the first place, but he did warn him to be careful, because some of this may be classified. In other words, he knew. That's how you know that he willfully did this. He willfully retained these classified documents. He's hanging on to these things. He's keeping them in the garage. Next to the Corvette, right? right? That somehow made it all okay. I mean, he kept telling us over and over and over again. He seemed distracted by the fact that he had a Corvette, lucky him.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President,
Okay.
classified material next to your Corvette. What were you thinking?
Let me, I'm going to get a chance to speak on all this, God willing, soon. But as I said earlier this week, people, and by the way, my Corvette's in a locked garage. Okay? So it's not like you're sitting out in the street. But anyway,
Was in a locked garage.
yes, as well as my Corvette. But as I said earlier this week, people know I take classified documents and classified material seriously.
I think he really likes his Corvette. I think he actually might take the Corvette a little bit more seriously than he takes the classified documents. Thank you very much. According to the special counsel, the lawyer said that he was, quote, a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory who would be well into his 80s, and therefore they didn't really want to put him on the stand because he'd come across like a bumbling idiot that he is. I'm sorry, but what does this say? I mean, he willfully takes documents, and then the special special counsel can't move forward with any charges because, oh gosh, it's not gonna be a good look. It's not a good look for the country. And he's just a bumbling old man who has no memory. I'm sorry. What is he doing as our president, ladies and gentlemen? We should all be asking this question. Should we not? I'll tell you, his competition, another young whippersnapper, as they say, Dean Phillips, he was on TV last night saying Joe Biden cannot win. There's no way he's going to win against Donald Trump. So look at me, look at me. They're not going to look at him, but it's worth hearing it.
The leader of the party. That's why there's so much deference right now. It is so clear. He should serve out this term. He's able, but he should not be running for another term for the United States presidency.
I'm not so sure that he should even be serving out the term, but you got to be careful what you wish for, right? I keep saying, he's really bad. He's really bad. He's really bad. But what is the alternative? What is the alternative? Kamala Harris, for goodness sakes. I mean, she's got a whole other set of issues. She's younger, so I guess we can't blame age. Is this like a neurological thing with all the word salad that we have to listen to on a regular basis? Right? Here she is trying to defend her boss. Watch.
So the way that the president's demeanor in that report was characterized could not be more wrong on the facts and clearly politically motivated.
Oh, politically motivated? I'm sorry. Isn't this his administration? Isn't this his special counsel? How is this politically motivated, Kamala Harris? We heard some rumblings of that on MSNBC as well. But here, I'm just going to say, Joe Biden has been in politics forever. When I was a really little girl, I remember going to Yokin's restaurant in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, where I heard him speak. And then I heard him speak many, many, many times in the years following. I might have been about 9 or 10 years old. And there was Joe Biden. And then, 4 years later, there was Joe Biden. And 4 years later, there was Joe Biden. I mean, he's run for president many times, and he's been in office for too many years. And unfortunately, while he's never been, shall we say, the best and the brightest, he didn't graduate top of his law school, as he'd like you to think. He's always kind of had some issues, but nothing quite like what we have seen, ladies and gentlemen, in the last couple of months. It's really ratcheted up. He can't keep people straight. He doesn't know who the head of Mexico is. He's talking about the head of Egypt instead of the head of Mexico. He's talking about people that he met decades ago that have since passed away as though they're in the present tense. He doesn't seem to understand what happened with his son, Bo. I mean, it's actually really sad, very sad, but you need to watch it to understand and comprehend just exactly what these lawyers were thinking. In other words, they were right. They really couldn't put him up there, and certainly not in front of a jury, for goodness sakes. Watch.
beer brewed here, it is used to make the brew beer. My memory is fine. The president of Mexico, Cites, did not want to open up the gate. A solid meeting with and Mitterrand from Germany, from France, looked at me and said,
elderly man with a poor memory.
I said, I'm going to be a president for everybody, whether they live in a red state or a green state. Anyway, I don't want to. Making Roe v. Wade. The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to. Anyway, Putin's kleptocracy. Yeah. $159 billion left. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to
So you
what
get
am I
the
doing
picture.
here?
None of us. Joe Biden is really struggling. That comes to us from a meme creator actually over on Twitter. It's unfortunate, but it is the reality of where he is right now. He is too old for this job. And, I hate to say that. And I'm not an ageist, by the way. I'm not, because, hey, I think age in so many ways is just simply a number. But the cognitive ability is severely declining. And you tend to see this with people. I've seen dementia up close, and it's sad, and it's quick, and it's speedy. And some of the things that he has shown us, I'm no doctor, but as just somebody who has seen this in individuals before, I worry about them. I actually do. And people joke and they say things like this is elder abuse. And you know what? It's actually not a joke. And we can't be laughing at this, because this is a president who is clearly not who he once was. Not that he was ever any great shakes, right? But he is not who he once was. And we shouldn't laugh about it. This should actually be a matter of serious, serious concern. And so he went out there yesterday trying to act like he was in charge and he had all his faculties about him. But again, it presented almost as a caricature of somebody who's really angry and who's somebody who's quite elderly. And that's what we saw fully on display. So the White House at this very moment in time is like, wow, like, how do we manage this? I mean, he's already getting absolutely whacked in the polls. You've seen him every single poll, every single day. There's only one that suggests that there's a gap, and it's because he's lacking the support among women. We've talked about the VP job being an important one for Donald Trump's ticket. Look, every poll is showing us that Donald Trump is way out in front. So the White House is freaking out. I want you to see what Ian Sams, who's one of his White House advisors, has to say about all of this. He was out there just earlier today.
The president spoke powerfully about this last night. After a long investigation that turned over every stone and explored every theory, the special counsel decided that there was no case there.
No case, because he's too old, for goodness sakes. Come on. Ian Sams, that's why there's no case, because he was too old. They decided that he did willfully retain these things. He kept them in the freaking garage right next to the Corvette. It was all there. But you know what? They know that he can't actually go through the trial and that he'll just present. If they were to charge him with a crime as a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory who would be by then well into his 80s. I mean, everybody is just upended by this. I mean, poor CNN's Paul Gala. I mean, he can't even sleep at night because of it. He said he's wetting his bed. Watch.
Paul, how much Democratic bedwetting do you think there will be? I bring up the term, everyone laughs. It's a term that is used.
It's a political term of art.
And it's used in Democratic big D politics. It's what people say about Democrats. I'm not saying anything that's offensive to Paul's,
delicate sensibility.
Young, delicate ears. So how much of that will there be? And if you are the White House, how do you assuage said bedwetting?
Oh, yeah. look, I'm a Biden supporter. I slept like a baby last night. I woke up every 2 hours crying and wet the bed. This is terrible for Democrats, and anybody with a functioning brain knows that. But here's what you do: instead of calling a press conference saying I really am sharp, you attack the other guy. You know, Joe Biden gave the strategy in 2012. I remember he was vice president, and he said, "Don't compare us to the almighty, compare us to the alternative." So everything with Biden has to be not I'm great, but the other guy's really damaging, dangerous, a threat. You know, this is an unlovely. John's exactly right. This is going to be a really rough, ugly, unpleasant campaign. Look at years ago, David Duke, the former Klansman, was running for governor against Edwin Edwards, who'd been charged, indicted, convicted of any number of criminals. Edwin won the campaign with a bumper sticker that said, "Vote for the crook. It's important." And they got to tell Democrats, look, vote for the old guy. Support the old guy. It's important.
So you think they blew it last night? Just to be clear, you think last night was a mistake to have him out there?
Well,
Paul?
No, I want to see more Joe Biden, but the gaffes are built in. But instead of simply saying, "I'm okay," he just simply he needs to be on the attack 24/7.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's what they've been doing, right? I never steer you wrong, guys. I never steer you wrong. I've played you that clip, that montage of all the Democrats doubling down. Oh my gosh, Trump is going to ruin the country forever. We're never going to be the United States of America anymore. He's going to take away your rights, this, that, and the other. That is the strategy, right? That is absolutely 1,000%. Paul just told you that's the strategy. And he's like, wait a second, why are we departing from our strategy? We got a winning strategy. Tell him to say, hey, I'm the old guy, but I'm the nice guy. And instead, what does Biden do? He goes out and he's like the old mean guy shooting down the young Fox reporter because the Fox reporter dared to do his job and ask about how is it that you willfully retain these things and yet somehow are not getting charged. Even The View, even the ladies at The View are starting to turn on Joe Biden just like everybody else because everybody's coming to the same resolution, the same conclusion. Joe Biden is too old to be our president. But what are you going to do about it? I mean, he's hanging on for dear life. And you know, when people get up there in age, I've seen it, they become kind of obstinate. They get angry. They're not going to let go. How dare you insult them and suggest that they aren't fully there? He's not. Can the ladies at The View get through to him? I don't think anybody can, but listen, when you lose them, Joe, you got a problem. Take a look.
Ducey has a sense of humor. He knows when to hit back. He's not in the
I also think we should
hang on.
We should reframe it in terms of not.
Can we stop it right there? Did you hear Joy Behar just say that? Well, hey, he doesn't have dementia yet. I mean, that's your defense? Oh, he's got a sense of humor. He must not have dementia yet. That's what we're going to go with. Okay, keep going.
Calling it age, but vitality, because people can live much later and be perfectly sharp. But I'm going to be honest, I was stunned by this press conference and I was stunned by this report. Yes, he was legally exonerated, and what Joe Biden was accused of is not comparable to how Donald Trump handled his documents case. But this was pretty damning. He had war plans related to Afghanistan sitting in his garage. There were a number of things that were outright national security threats. And the reason they're not charging him is essentially they think he forgot about it, so there wasn't this intent there. That's why they went into these details about his mental state. And I got to be honest, like, this did not inspire confidence in me. If you are worried about Donald Trump being president, this is not even the Joe Biden of 4 years ago. This is not Barack Obama. And I think Democrats have to wake up to the fact that especially young people are watching and they're seeing one of the weakest presidents in my lifetime. He's a good man. He's a decent man. He has had accomplishments.
One of the weakest presidents in your lifetime, and you work for Donald Trump?
I said, well, I'm talking in your lifetime. Laugh line, but great laugh line. I don't want to be here on after Election Day and Donald Trump won because you guys didn't wake up to the glaring size that Trump
answered 30, but okay, so let me when Trump answered 36 times by saying he couldn't remember in one of his,
by the way, I think
can't
Trump's
remember. Either
mental
he's
decline.
lying or he can't remember.
It is a shame these are the only two options for Americans. It's an absolute disgrace.
Okay, so you see where they're going. Oh, well, Trump couldn't remember either. So Trump must be clearly just as bad. Well, clearly he's not that bad. He's not that bad because, you know, they're going after him, but they're going. So, like, how do you slice this? You damned if you do, you damned if you don't. right? So if they go after him because it was the willful concealment of these classified documents, well, then you got a president who's done some bad stuff. Or if you say, oh, we're not going to go after him because, well, he's too old, which is what they're saying, well, then you got a president that's too old. And so either way you look at this, Donald Trump comes out way, way ahead. Watch, this is actually hysterical as MSNBC tries to spin it.
You mentioned this. We should just be clear here, right? Like, age is the central narrative question here that this all revolves around in terms of its political repercussions, the way the news happened today, the questions being asked him by multiple figures there. And in the end, what makes it such a useful political tool for people that want Donald Trump to be elected or want him not to be reelected is that the fact of his age is not something you can rebut. Mm-hmm. You can't tack to, if someone says you're too far left, you can tack to the center. The man is 80 years old.
He rides a bike.
But he is the age he is, and so it's a very.
He rides a bike, and clearly he can't have dementia because he's still making jokes. Oh, guys, you know what? Give it up. Give it up. Give it up. I love how they're also trying to present this so acutely as Donald Trump's administration going after him. It is his own special counsel. I mean, I don't care if the guy's left over or not. You know what, Biden, if you don't like him, you can fire him, right? It's truly rather amazing. But you know what? I will say this. It is a win for Donald Trump. And Mike Davis, who's a big Trump supporter, was out there saying this. I want to share this clip with you. It was actually something that the president shared as well. Former President Donald Trump was sharing. Let's listen to Mike.
And how does Merrick Garland explain that he's going to charge Trump for records he's allowed to have, but not charge Biden for records that he stole?
Right? How do you do that? So you go after Trump, and yet you say, we're not going to go after Biden? I mean, it's like we're getting back to this thing all over again, right? The Constitution of the United States of America. In other words, you got to have some kind of standard for everybody. You got to try to have some kind of standard for everybody. You can't be out there saying, well, we don't like this particular politician, therefore we're going to use everything we can and throw it against him. But the one that we like, well, we'll save him because, you know, he's just an old guy. He's just going to embarrass us all and himself. My Lord. Well, that is reason enough not to vote for Joe Biden. I'm sorry. I don't know if he's really going to make it. You know, there was the Morgan Stanley analyst who said his biggest prediction for this year, outside from all the market stuff, was on the political front that Joe Biden would not actually be running for president in 2024. Something would happen related to his health that would get him out of the race. And then the question becomes, who's it going to be? I mean, I hope Hillary Clinton's not getting any ideas. Seriously. I do think that Michelle is kind of waiting in the wings, carefully gauging her time. But I think one thing that we have certainly learned from this administration is that policy matters. And we better have somebody who understands policy on the international front, on the border front, on the economic front. Otherwise, we're sort of doomed. We're sort of doomed. Oh my goodness. This brings me to Tucker Carlson had a very big interview, everyone. A very big interview. The media is all upset about it. They're circling the wagons. They're doing everything they can to downplay it because, gosh darn it, we don't want anybody to actually hear Putin. It's kind of sacrilegious if you even listen to it. You know, looking at the mainstream media, looking at how they've acted over all of this, NPR coming out with this headline, this cracks me up. Wow, they're really trying to give him a dig. Tucker Carlson, the fired Fox News star, makes bid for relevance with Putin interview. The right-wing television provocateur. Well, he's no longer TV. You know what? He's streaming. This is where it's at, right? And I've said it over and over and over again. Independent journalists doing their own thing here in platforms where we can all convene together. It is a live show. Great to see you guys as always. Leslie, I know you were the first one here, so special prize to you. Jay, good to have you here. DVZ as well. James as well. Here's the deal, okay? He's independent. He's able to go out and ask these questions all on his own without having a whole bunch of strings, puppet strings from the network saying you can do this, you can't do this, you have to say this, you can't say that. I mean, it's real. I mean, they do this. I've worked at a lot of networks, and you have to go through a lot of hoops with a lot of people. And I do believe that there's a department that has a lot of say, shall we say, over just exactly what you're doing and who you're interviewing and how you're interviewing them. And that's why everybody's flipping out, because, oh my gosh, Tucker Carlson's got a big audience and he's going to go over there and interview Putin, which is exactly what he did. Hillary Clinton was trying to set the stage saying, oh, it's nothing. He's just going to give Putin this mouthpiece and it's going to be ridiculous. Let's watch.
I mean, he's like a puppy dog. You know, he somehow has, after having been fired from so many outlets in the United States, I would not be surprised if he emerges with a contract with a Russian outlet, because he is a useful idiot. He says things that are not true.
You know what,
he
guys? Here, I'm looking at the time. It's 4:33, and at 4:35, I'm actually on the Chris Salcedo show with my good friend Chris over on Newsmax. So I have a lot more to say on this. I want to bring you some very special excerpts from Tucker Carlson's interview. So I'm coming back live. Can you guys do me this favor? Make sure that you hit the alarm thing, the bell thing on YouTube, because we're going to do this just a little bit more. Hit that so that you know when I'm back. But or if you want to come over to Newsmax and watch me there, I'm going to be there for the next 10 minutes or so. And we're coming back because we got a lot to talk about. Tucker Carlson had one heck of an interview. And how's that for one heck of a tease? I'll be right back with more.